Welcome to this week's edition of the Life and Legacy Show, sponsored by the Sechler Law Firm, where great families make great estate plans. My name is Tim Sechler. I am your host of this show, and during this show, I give you all my thoughts about things that make an effective estate plan. You know, I think one of the saddest things is when a family that works hard and saves money and does everything they need to do for their family ends up with a bad ending from a financial standpoint because they have a improperly done estate plan, or they haven't done any estate planning at all. And so what we try to do with this show is we try to encourage people to take action, to do good planning, and provide you a little bit of education. Now, I got to do my little disclaimer. The Life and Legacy Show is for your information and education. This is not legal advice. I'm a lawyer, but I am not your lawyer. I'd like to be if you'd like us to help you, but do not construe this radio show or any other radio show as legal advice. Don't make any decisions based on what you hear on this show, because if you do so, you're probably making decisions with only part of the pieces. There's no way to explain it all in a 25-minute show. So I'm titling this week's episode as What Else is New? What else is new? So if you follow the news, I was chatting with a client recently in the conference room and just talking about, all that's going on in the news and politics and all the rest. And he says to me, well, what else is new? And I just came to think, and I sat there and I thought, well, that's a shame, but that he's got a point. What else is new? Just in the last week, our government has decided to spend 1.2 trillion more of your dollars, right? 1.2 trillion. They throw these numbers around, and it's kind of hard to fathom just how much money that is and how much money these guys are just throwing around. And you tell me somebody's read the line items for every dollar. If I ran my business the way that these guys run the federal budget, with no accountability, and if I spend too much, I'm just going to go take from somebody else anyhow. Well, I imagine life would be pretty easy, but that's not how the real world works. It's how their world works. But it's not how the real world works. And so, maybe I'm the sucker here. If you sit around and you can't figure out who the sucker is, it's probably you. And here they are spending more of my money. But I'm sure it's fine. Our grandkids will be able to afford it because that's who's really going to pay it. You can't tell me that this is going to be paid for with present increases in taxes. They're just not going to do it. It's politically unpopular. So what's going to happen is we're going to be paying for this stuff for generations, and tax rate's going to have to go up at some point in time. But, this isn't even a political talk show, but just asking a question, what else is new? In other news, they're talking about giving $450,000 to illegal aliens who have crossed the border and been separated from their families. $450,000 to people coming into this country without following the proper protocols. And, I don't want to say that separating parents from kids at the border is a great idea, but I'm also not saying as an American taxpayer, I'd like to give all those families $450,000. This week is Veterans Day. You're going to be listening to this episode just after Veterans Day, but I happen to be a veteran. And $450,000 to these folks, even if what they went through was horrific, it's not even, that's a multiple of what we're giving to families who have lost a loved one in combat. And, it just, what are we doing here? What are we really doing? The president's approval rating is through the floor. And you want to know why? Well, here's why, and another, just this week, you're talking about shutting down another energy pipeline. Well, you can have your opinion on any of this stuff, and you're welcome to disagree with me and change radio station if you want. But I have a person who works for me and does some great work, and she happens to live in South Africa. And I was chatting with her this morning, and was talking to her about what's going on in her country and all the rest. And she was unable to make a phone call last week because in South Africa they are currently shutting off the electricity on rolling blackouts throughout the country. And currently it's 4 hours a day for everybody. They don't do it at night, so they have to deal with 4 hours of shutdowns in two-hour blocks during the day, which really impacts the person's ability to do consistent and solid work. And she's a fantastic person who makes up for it. But, you just think about where they are, and I asked her what's up, and her take on it is poor government decision making, and they don't have access to enough coal, and they don't have enough access to gas. And so the power plants are running out of fuel, and they can't provide enough power for the country's needs. And I'm thinking, and here we are, just a boat trip away, shutting down coal mines and turning off gas pipelines. Our prices are going through the roof. Right now, we don't have rolling blackouts, at least not here in Pennsylvania. But you just look at this and you think, who's in charge? Who's making these decisions? Right? My gas prices are going through the roof. I don't like it, but at least we have energy. But it's not because we've got some fantastic energy policy right now, and it's all done in the name of climate change, which I'm not going to tell you that we shouldn't be paying attention to climate change. That's not my place. But flying an 85 vehicle convoy over there just to have our president fall asleep during the presentation. What is going on here? And it just draws me to the conclusion that either one of two things: either nobody's in charge here, or two, there's people that are in charge here that I don't know and didn't vote for. I just wonder what the heck is going on. But I guess if you want to take my client's perspective, what else is new? This is the way they've been doing it all along. And life is just going to get more expensive, and taxes are just going to go up, and it's going to be harder and harder for middle-class families to get out of the rut. And, and if they don't get you with these policies, and if they don't get you with the tax hikes, and if they don't get you with, making it harder to make a buck or having enough spending power in your pocketbook, where they get you? They get you when you pass away and when you get sick. The long-term care crisis that we have in this country, and that we're going to have in this country as the baby boomer generation starts needing long-term care, is one, there's not enough nursing home beds. Two, there's not enough caregivers. You go find a nurse that's happy with her job right now, right? These people are smoked. They've been working their tail off for the last 18 months, 24 months. They were working their tail off before COVID. Half of them don't want to get the vaccine. Half of their employers are making them get the vaccine. The federal government's trying to make every big employer make their employees get the vaccine. And it's just a situation where finding good care for seniors right now is difficult. And if you talk to the owners, as I sometimes do, of these long-term care facilities, finding people that want to work is difficult. And finding people that want to work in that environment is even more challenging, which is just going to make the cost of care go up. The average cost of a nursing home in Pennsylvania this year is a little over $11,000 a month, $130,000 a year for a nursing home. And we've got a healthcare delivery system for seniors in this country that makes you go broke before anybody's going to help you pay for care. Right? So tell me where this makes sense. All these things where there's no tax hikes on the middle class. Well, what is this exactly? Because, people that don't have much money at all, down on their luck, weren't ever to get started, that kind of thing. People that really have no money, they can go to the nursing home and get their care for free on Medicaid. People that have a whole lot of money, well, they can pay for $130,000 with the interest on their dollars. The people that get smoked when it comes to long-term care, the people who actually lose it all, are the middle-class Americans, the upper-middle-class Americans, the people that worked hard, your school teachers, your factory workers, your truck drivers, your people who worked their tails off for 40 and 50 years trying to save a penny, leave the money in the bank account, let it earn more pennies. What happens is those folks need long-term care. Let's say somebody saved $500,000 and they go to a nursing home for 3 years. Well, you're talking about $360,000 plus going out the door to a nursing home. Oh, and by the way, their healthy spouse may still live for another 20 years. And we are punishing this family based on their health care event. People ask me sometimes about the long-term care planning that we do in my office. And in my office, the Sechler law firm, we believe strongly that a good estate plan doesn't just contemplate what happens when you pass away. It also contemplates what happens if I get really, really sick before I pass away. Because for most middle-class families, the biggest financial threat you're going to face is long-term care expenses. It's not death taxes. Yes, there's a Pennsylvania inheritance tax, but that's not your biggest threat. Yes, there's a federal estate tax, but most middle-class people aren't going to pay that one. Most wealthy people don't pay that one either. The biggest threat that we face is what happens if I get really, really sick? What happens to my wife? What happens to my spouse if I end up needing the nursing home and I go to the nursing home for 3 or 4 years prior to passing away, and that eats up $500,000? So my wife and I work hard. We save money. We got a nest egg. I end up getting sick, and what's going to happen to her, right? Because we have a system where we've been taught our whole lives that when you're retired and you're over 65 years old, you get your Social Security check, and you can have Medicare. Medicare can pay for your long-term care, but the problem is Medicare doesn't pay for long-term care. Medicare pays for acute care. So if I have a heart attack, I can go to the hospital, I can have the ambulance take me there, and I can have open heart surgery, and I can have a pacemaker, and I can have the whole works, right? And that could be $500,000 in medical care. If I'm over 65, Medicare pays for that. Yes, coinsurance co-pays, and if you want to know more information about how to do your Medicare selections, we can hook you up. Check out our recent episode that we did with the folks from MediConnect. They do a fantastic job. It does happen to be open enrollment season. If you want help with your Medicare, check out the guys at MediConnect, region's biggest healthcare broker, and they do a fantastic job. But set that aside. Medicare pays for acute care. Medicare does not pay for custodial long-term care. They're just not in that business, right? So if I had a heart attack that required surgery and all of that works, yeah, Medicare is going to pay for that. If I have a stroke and that stroke is a bad one and leaves me in need of nursing home care, let's say for 3 or 4 years, well, that's also $450,000 or $500,000 in medical care. Medicare pays for 20 days, maybe up to 100 days with some co-pays, depending on how it's going, after which you are on your own at $350 a day until you run out of money. How's that work for you? How's that land on you? See, because a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people end up in the nursing home and then they find out, whoa, what do you mean that Medicare doesn't pay? What do you mean it's $12,000 this month? What about next month? It's $12,000 next month too? And they're just not prepared for this. And one of the problems is people don't like to talk about long-term care. In particular, attorneys don't like to talk about long-term care. Financial advisors don't like to talk about long-term care in protecting of assets because they don't like to plant a seed in your mind that you might just go broke, even though you have saved all of your money. You know, a financial advisor, and I have friends that are financial advisors. I know a lot of good financial advisors, but their primary job is to help you grow your money and not spend too much of it in retirement. But if they tell you you could go broke if you go to the nursing home, which the good ones do, but a lot of people don't, and because they don't like giving you bad news. They like giving you good news. Look at this number at the bottom of the thing. The market did 30 points last year. Look how big the number got. But I happen to believe that we need to do more about protecting money, not just growing money. And so that's why we do our seminars. So you should check them out at SechlerLawFirm.com, SECHLER lawfirm.com. If you go to the resources, you'll find our workshops page where you can sign up for one of our workshops. We do it a couple times a month in the office. And during the workshop, we teach you all about estate planning, like wills and trusts and powers of attorney. We talk to you about asset protection, certain types of trusts that you can use to protect assets from long-term care expenses, and in my opinion, a lot more people should be doing that. So if you have a will-based estate plan or a revocable living trust and you think that doing trust work is not for you, it's only for rich people, well, that's not the case, folks. There are trusts for rich people. There are also trusts for middle-class Americans who don't want to go broke in the nursing home. And I can teach you all about those. So come to one of our upcoming workshops. You can find all about the workshop at SechlerLawFirm.com, SECHLER lawfirm.com. We've got webinars. We've got pre-recorded webinars. You can watch it whenever you want. But we try to give you the good information that you need about how to do planning in a way that you can maintain control of your money, but not lose it to the nursing home if you end up there. Speaking of ending up there, I want to speak directly to people who have loved ones in need of long-term care. Maybe they're receiving long-term care. Maybe you know that they're going to be receiving long-term care. You know, the holidays are coming up. And around the holidays and after the holidays, really, nursing homes see a big spike in admissions because what happens is kids are out of town. Kid comes in for a visit around the holidays and realizes, uh-oh, you know, this isn't really a safe environment here anymore. Dad needs some help. He can't do it anymore. Mom needs some people around. And so just after the holidays, everybody kind of wants to make it through the holidays. But then after the holidays, there's usually an uptick in admission. So if you suspect that may be the scenario your family is facing, someone needs long-term care now, or someone is going to need long-term care in the short term, or even, you know, a couple years out, Here's a couple of tips. One, don't hide from the conversation. It's a tough conversation, but don't hide from it. Don't hide from it with your siblings. Don't hide from it with your parents. Have the conversation. Do not get caught off guard by this risk. If the thing is smoking, there might be a fire there somewhere, and if you're already seeing the smoke, don't get lost in the weeds, because these guys that just spent another 1.2 trillion aren't going to fix it for you. You got to fix it yourself. Another tip. Financial power of attorney is the most important document when somebody goes into a long-term care facility. The financial power of attorney. Forget about the will. The will doesn't matter until the person passes away. It's the power of attorney document that allows us to make decisions while the person is still alive, if they can't make their own decisions due to an incapacity event or whatever the case is. So you need a good financial power of attorney. Here's what that means. There are different, so a power of attorney document, there's a notice on the front of it, and then it says, I'm Tim, and I appoint so-and-so to be my agent, and then here's all the things that they can do. And some of the documents are 2 pages long, and some of the documents are 26 pages long. And if yours is a 2-page document, you might want to ask the question, where are my other 24 pages, and what am I missing out on? Because some of the time, the thing that is the most important paragraph in a power of attorney, when someone is in a nursing home, in the healthy spouse or the kids reach out to us and they want to know, is there anything we can do to protect money? Yeah, the answer to that is, yeah, there are some things that we can do. Even after someone is in a nursing home, there are some things we can do to protect real dollars, sometimes 6 figures, when somebody's in a nursing home. But the things that we do, the techniques that we use in that situation, almost always require transfers of money. We got to give money to the healthy spouse. We got to give money to a disabled child. We got to give money to a healthy child. We got to give money to a trust. There's lots of things that we need to do, but it almost always requires taking the money out of the ownership of the person who needs the long-term care, because the person who needs the long-term care under the law is not allowed to have a bunch of money. Now, Medicaid has some strict rules. So what we're talking about doing is making ourselves available for Medicaid benefits. Medicaid has some strict rules. There's a 5-year look-back period. There's the restrictions on what you're allowed to do. And so it all gets very complicated. But even after someone is in a nursing home, oftentimes it makes perfect sense from a financial standpoint to transfer money to kids, to the healthy spouses, to a trust in order to protect that money from this long-term care event. Because I don't know a single person that if I would talk to them and say, well, Mr. Jones, you've saved all this money your whole life. You got this nice nest egg here. The only thing that could take it from you, the only thing that could get in your way of leaving a legacy to your family is if you go to a long-term care event, you go to a nursing home. I don't know of a single person who would say, that's okay. I'd rather the nursing home get it than my family. There's not a single person that would say that. And so if we all know that that's not what they would want, that they would prefer that the money goes to their family rather than long-term care expenses, and the law allows us to take action to protect assets, to get it to our family, well, we had better know how to do that, and we had better make decisions that make sense. One of the things that we need to be able to do is give money away. And so I implore you, because I've seen families lose their home over poorly drafted powers of attorney. People say, I've got that document. Okay, yeah. Do you have a good one? I implore you to read it and look for the gifting provisions. Okay, now in a power of attorney, there are a couple of different ways that this can occur. Gifting, the ability to give away money. One, it may not be there, at which point in time you may consider reaching out to a lawyer to update the power of attorney document. The other way that it could be there is it could be a limited gifting paragraph, limited gifting, which means $15,000 a year to my spouse and my kids. But if we're trying to move a $200,000 home, a $15,000 gifting authority doesn't get it done. And so when I have clients who are concerned about long-term care expenses, often our advice is to have an unlimited gifting power of attorney. We want to be able to give away big sums of money, because if we can give away big sums of money, then we might be able to protect the money. And please don't listen to this episode and go give away all your money. That's not what I'm telling you to do. That could be a terrible mistake. But when done with an actual long-term care plan, when done with the help of an elder law attorney who understands these rules and is pretty good with a calculator, you can protect real dollars even after a nursing home admission, as long as the power of attorney authorizes it. And so if you don't know what your power of attorney means or says, and if you don't know if you've got the gifting language, or if you're pretty sure you don't have the good gifting language, give us a call and we will help you with that. It's not an expensive document. We can turn it out for you quick, and we can get you the document you need in case you get sick. If you want to learn out more about all of this, again, go to sechlerlawfirm.com, SECHLER lawfirm.com, and sign up for one of our upcoming estate planning and elder law workshops where we will teach you all of this. We'll teach you exactly how Medicaid works. I will give you the eligibility rules. I will give you the rule book the nursing home doesn't want you to know. I'm going to tell you how it works. Then I'm going to tell you how you can take action to protect assets for yourself. If you have somebody in a nursing home, let's just go straight to an initial consultation, which is free, and we can talk to you about how we might be able to protect assets. So if you have somebody in a nursing home, call my office, 724-841-1393. I'll do it again, 724-841-1393. And tell us, I've got a loved one in a nursing home, we're paying privately out of pocket, we're going broke doing it, and our folks will get you to an attorney who will give you a free consultation, and we will talk to you about how we can help you protect money even after somebody's in a nursing home. Of course, we're going to want to see the power of attorney to make sure we can do that if the person in the nursing home does not have capacity. All right. Now, again, I got to do my little disclaimer on this because I talked a lot about giving money away, and I don't want people to make mistakes and go and do it on your own. So this episode and every other episode, if you go back and listen to the old stuff, is for your education. It is not legal advice. Don't go out and move all your money and give it all to the kids and say, Tim told me to. That might be a terrible decision. But if you want to know how to work forward, and if you want to know how to protect your stuff, give us a call and we'll teach you and we'll give you the legal advice that you need. That usually starts with one of our workshops, which you can find at SechlerLawFirm.com, SechlerLawFirm.com. Now, you're listening to this episode after Veterans Day. I'm recording this episode before Veterans Day. If you did not take an opportunity on Thursday to think of veteran, think of veteran. It's a period of time where a lot of veterans, at least recent war veterans, Afghan veterans, are going through a hard time with all of this mess that they created over there, myself included. And I reach out. If you know somebody even that you don't know all that well, send them a text, send them an email, send them a card. Hey, thanks for what you did. Thanks for what you do. Some of these politicians may not have your back, but I do. That means a lot. Take it from a veteran. It means a lot. And so tell them thanks. And if you're listening to this and you are a veteran, here's my thanks. Thank you. A lot of people sacrificed a lot more than I did. And I have nothing but gratitude for you. And if you happen to be an Afghan war veteran and you're terribly upset about this nonsense, just like I am, you have my sympathies. Thank you for what you did. It was not for nothing, even if they make you believe that. All right. So in our remaining couple of minutes, I want to teach you real quick a thing about, in the spirit of supporting veterans, talking about how do veterans plan in a unique way for long-term care. And here's the thing. The Veterans Administration has a number of different benefits. They have nursing homes. They've got privately contracted nursing homes that the Veterans Administration just may pay for. There are asset and income limitations for some of these care services. There's also a benefit out there that's called the improved pension, commonly known as the aid and attendance benefit. If you are a wartime veteran, which anymore means Vietnam, Korea, Vietnam, if there's still some World War II guys around, but Korea, Vietnam, and any time after about 1990 has been considered a period of war. If you have 90 days of active duty, 1 day of which was during a period of war, you have the service requirement to be eligible for this benefit. And what it can do is it can help pay for long-term care. In your home, it can help in an assisted living facility. This is the only government benefit in Pennsylvania that can help pay for an assisted living facility, is the Veterans Administration Aid and Attendance Benefit. Now, it has its own asset and income limitations. There are ways to plan ahead, and there are ways to protect money. There are ways to shelter assets, and there are some really smart moves if you are a veteran who may need long-term care. So we do an awful lot of this work. If you have a veteran in your world, or if you are a veteran and need a long-term care, give us a shout. 724-841-1393. We can explain these rules to you, get you pointed in the right direction. I hope you found this episode beneficial. I hope it was a good use of your time. Remember, if you need help, give us a call, SechlerLawFirm.com, 724-841-1393. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Check out the old episodes on Apple iTunes or Spotify, and we tend to try to give you a whole bunch of meaningful information here. So thanks for listening. We'll check you out next week.